from 7 to 7:30. The Ozone. With your host, former Major League Baseball player Orestes Estrada. From 7:30 to 8, Reach Out with host, New York Yankees community consultant Rene, Frankie Valli's musical director Robbie Robinson, and psychologist Steve Vaccaro. Special guest, known for his hit record The Peppermint Twist, Joey G. That's coming up March 8th, live on the Chapters Network and the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Once in your life, you find her, someone who turns your heart around, and next thing you know, you're closing down the town. That you can do is fall in love.
Good evening. I'm Jill Martin, and you're listening and watching Worth the Price of Admission. In just a few minutes, I'll bring to you this evening's guest, Rene LeRoux, founder and executive director of the New York State Hall of Fame. As many of you know, I started my career as a professional photographer, specializing in sports, entertainment, and photojournalism. Photography changes everything, what and how much we remember. As I was looking back through some photographs this week, I found 3 I would like to share with you. They take me back and represent the beginning of it all 45 years ago for me. The first picture is Mick Jagger. This was July 1980, the irreplaceable Mick Jagger, Anaheim Stadium, a few days before I met my future husband, Billy. I didn't have a credential to get in. I purchased a ticket to get in. With my camera body, I taped my left shin and my 200 millimeter lens strapped to my right shin, wearing baggy bell bottoms. I got by security. The place was packed, and a lot of people dancing everywhere. I headed for the stage to find the tallest guy I could find. In between his dance moves, I asked him if he would let me sit on his shoulders so I could get a great angle photographing. While he kept dancing with me on his shoulders, I kept a steady hand. I took my shots of Mick, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My next picture is of Boz Scaggs, probably my favorite artist of all time.
Slow dancer, sweet romancer, shine your light on me.
And photographers parked down below at the hotel and shuttle up to the show. I was in line for valet parking, and I must not have put my foot completely on the brake because I ran into a yellow Pinto driven by the late comedian actor Dom DeLuise. Boy, was he mad. He put on an Emmy Award performance. We exchanged phone numbers. I put my head down, apologized, and ran for the shuttle. I received my credential that evening to Boz from the lighting company Electrosound based out of Dallas. Boz has an amazing voice and an amazing entertainer of his era. His music sends me to the moon and back. I got to go backstage, a night I won't forget, and I never heard from Dom DeLuise. My final photo this evening is the first picture I ever shot of my future husband, Billy, having only met him a few minutes prior, bringing me back to Anaheim Stadium for baseball, this time a week after the Rolling Stones concert. I had gone to shoot the Angels Old Timers Day for a family of Sid O'Brien, who played for the Angel organization in 71 and 72. Because Sid was a right-handed batter, I was given the photo position in the opposing dugout, which is how I came to meet my Billy. Billy's third base coach, the late Clete Boyer, is on the left. Mike Norris is in the middle, one of Billy's right-handed pitchers who wasn't playing that night. Billy asked me to meet him after the game. The rest is history, which leads me into my special guest who inducted my husband, Billy, into the 2018 New York State Baseball Hall of Fame. He is the creator, founder, and executive director of not one, but 3 New York Halls of Fame: baseball, basketball, and hockey. He is a sports historian and has authored 2 books on basketball. Welcome, Rene.
Jill, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. The New York State Hall of Fame was founded in 2009. Coming from Wall Street, how did this begin?
Well, when it was always the plan to retire when I did. I was 53 years old, 52, and as much as it was an interesting career, I didn't really love it. And I always loved sports. And I was really had this on the back of my mind for years. And I actually started the New York State Basketball Hall of Fame first. And it was such a huge success that I was asked to form the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame immediately after our first induction ceremony for basketball. So, baseball is my first love, and was happy to do it.
And, this was a pretty big undertaking. I mean, how did that go? How did you get started on the first one?
I wasn't an event planner. I was a Wall Street guy. I didn't really know the future, what direction it was heading. But the very first night, I booked a room for 250 people, and 400 people showed up, including Jim Boeheim, who just retired today from coach of Syracuse at age 78. So that first year, my eyes were literally wide open when all the people came. I had no idea the response was going to be that great. And since that event, we've had 27 consecutive sold-out events.
And now you're partnering with Pankhurst Field Foundation for this new venue?
Parkhurst Field, yes, has been very, very instrumental in helping me secure our new Hall of Fame location in Gloversville. And they've been very instrumental in helping us with New York State and Fulton County. So they're doing a wonderful job in restoring a baseball Little League complex across the street. And what we're doing together is very synergistic. And it's all about kids. And, Billy would like that because Billy was all about kids and youngsters. So we're thrilled to be where we're going to be, and we're going to open in July, I believe.
So you have a different criteria than Cooperstown. How are the inductees chosen?
Well, we're fortunate in that, Cooperstown actually is on a bigger stage, and they're sort of forced to do it the way they do it. And it's pretty good. They have a phenomenal, location, a phenomenal process. They do everything perfectly. And, being 90 miles away from there, I'm there many, many times each year, and I'm constantly taking notes and writing down the things they do well, and they literally do everything well. So our Hall of Fame is going to be 45 minutes from Cooperstown, 45 minutes from my front door. And our inductees are inducted on a philosophy and a theory called body of work. And it's contributions to the game. It's not based on hits or home runs or goals scored or 3-point shots. It's based upon what you've done in the game. And we feel very strongly about that. When we inducted Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez a few years ago, they both, privately said to me that they think that's the full and real true measure of a Hall of Fame, is inducting somebody on what they've accomplished, but not just on stats. It's not 400 writers who may or may not like you voting. I understand that they have to do it that way. We have the luxury of not being able to do it that way. And so we're more of a big hall organization. We want to induct more people. And, inducting Billy when we did with Mickey Mantle on the same evening, oh my God, what a dream come true.
And what a wonderful evening we had. It was
my God. And you gave a tremendous induction speech on behalf of Billy. And, I had the feeling that both he and Mickey's presence were in the room that night, and they would have had a ball. They would have loved this.
Kids sure were doing that. So, and we were too. So
yeah, that was really a special night. And it might have been one of my favorites of all time. And I thank you for your help on that, because you really furthered his legacy. And, as much as I thought I knew about Billy and read about him, you've taught me so much more, and what a wonderful man he was. I was told how much he loved Phil Pepe and how he would pay for Phil Pepe's flights, who was a news writer for the Daily News, and how much he loved religious people, and how he always gave away free tickets, and how generous he was. That wasn't what sold newspapers, so they don't know that about him. What a remarkable man, though. Remarkable.
Well, thank you. And so, Rene, how can the public help you at this point?
Well, we're always looking for donations. a program, a scorecard, maybe an autograph ball, or something that might be Hall of Fame worthy. We have a theater in the back half of the building, which is going to be beautiful. We'll show documentary films, induction speeches. Your speech will be shown, and it'll be a continuous loop. So we're excited about that. That's sort of my baby. I'm been acquiring and buying baseball art, which that's really on a lead from Cooperstown. Their little art room is really beautiful. They as I said, they do everything perfectly. So they literally show me the way. So we'd like to have anybody who has a donation of, a baseball glove or something of note that they're looking to place. We recently had some good news not long ago. A gentleman in Los Angeles has donated an autographed baseball collection, which has been appraised at about $2.8 million.
Oh my gosh.
And we were Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Billy, Thurman Munson, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, all legitimately appraised autographed baseballs, authenticated. So Cooperstown has everything now. I mean, they have autograph. We're going to have a whole wall devoted to these autographed baseballs. You name it, he's got it. And so we're really thrilled about that. That's a national collection. And, Dave Karpinski from Parker sort of brokered that deal. A wonderful gentleman. Bob Costas went to see him, the gentleman who donated this. We're really, really happy about that. Every All-Star game program, every World Series program, and we think that that's really special.
Well, since the new venue is going to be in Gloversville, I understand, rumor has it that you're still having the ceremonies at the Hilton in Troy.
Yeah, we'll always stay there because the building is suited for it. We rent 40, 50 rooms in the hotel. It's 7-8 minutes from Albany Airport. The hall isn't big enough to hold 500 people. And, we had 500 your night. We had 500 last year for Bucky and Louis Tiant. So honestly, our event has turned a corner ever since the night when we inducted Mickey and Billy. So we're pretty sold out every year in advance.
So do you think Billy has a chance for Cooperstown?
I'm biased. I certainly think he's certainly Hall of Fame based on his managerial career, which Tony LaRussa said he taught him so much and what a genius he was. And he won everywhere he went. If you judge him strictly on his managerial career, he's an easy inductee. They don't induct a lot of managers. Jack McKeon, who we inducted last year, is 94 years old. He was the oldest World Series winning manager until Dusty Baker last year. Jack actually played in Gloversville in 1954. Lou Piniella, who we know and love, World Series winning manager with the Reds, managed 5 teams. So when you look at these different guys, they're Hall of Fame worthy also. That's the biggest problem is, of course, Billy's definitely worthy and should be in the Hall of Fame. It's just a hard playing field. And as a player, Don Mattingly, Lou Whitaker, Dwight Evans, Thurman Munson, there's so many players who are worthy, but they don't put a lot of people in. And that's a few years ago, they inducted 4 people from the alumni committee. That's the first time they ever did that. This year they went back to Fred McGriff, just 1. I like having 4 people get in. And Billy also was a pretty good player in his day. Won a World Series for the Yankees with a game-saving catch. His World Series batting average is, very, very strong. But the same when we helped get Gil Hodges inducted, their careers are very similar in a lot of ways. Gil waited a long time, and he finally got the call, and I was so proud and happy for Gil Jr. and the family. And, I see the same thing with Billy.
Awesome. So you grew up in Saratoga. And how has it changed since then and now?
Well, Joe, you and I share so much in common. The equine, I owned racehorses. You owned racehorses. You had a farm. I had a farm. You like to go to Saratoga. I met you in Saratoga with Paul. You like, photography, and we have the Saratoga Performing Arts Center where we've had Boz Skaggs and the Doobie Brothers, and you name it, they've been there.
Beautiful.
So it's I grew up there. I worked at the racetrack, worked my way through college, went to Skidmore College in Saratoga. I taught there today, gave a couple classes. Saratoga continues to be amazing. In an era where thoroughbred horse racing is sort of on the wane, it's never been stronger in Saratoga. Opening day, July 13th this year. You've been there every year. You go to the Travers. It's a wonderful event. It's a wonderful place. Has that countrified feel. I don't think there's anywhere else like Saratoga for the thoroughbred industry than here.
And you also are the father of 3 human children, Ryan, Jack, and Lauren, who's married to Brendan. I saw
Right.
the lovely wedding pictures. That's awesome. She's beautiful and a very proud papa. And Brandon is very handsome. And you also have 2 dog children, Molly and Lola.
Oh, yes. They're here with me right now, guarding me. Really blessed. All 3 children, totally different from each other, all doing well. Very happy with them and their lives. Proud of what they've accomplished, and so happy that my daughter got married last August. That was a big relief for me to see that day come and go. They dated for 9 years, so they're doing great. He's a Boston Red Sox fan, but that's okay.
We can forgive that.
We can forgive that because he married my daughter. My dog children are Great Pyrenees, and they're big, and they're protectors, and they bark, and they shed, and I don't care. They're wonderful. Protectors, beautiful dogs. Molly's 5, Lola's 4. And, I don't really travel because I don't want to leave the girls, but they're really spectacular.
I understand that one. And of course, what Lola wants, Lola gets.
That's right. She's the baby. That's exactly right.
So tell me, Rene, when you're not, well, first of all, I want to ask you about the kids. Are any of them involved with the hall or sports in general? They're just fans. How do they interact with all of this?
My oldest son, Ryan, is a big hockey fan. So he's helpful about, procedures and lists and people to consider. And upstate New York is very big for hockey. Clarkson, St. Lawrence, RPI, Union, Colgate, Cornell, big, huge college area for hockey. My youngest son, Jack, is on our board, and he's been to most of the events. He lives in Austin, Texas now. He speaks at the events. He's young, handsome, and loves Yankees. So we're really, we talk a lot about philosophy. Interesting story. I met Pete Rose one day in Cooperstown, and I sort of felt sorry for him, because he's the outlaw of baseball, and he's banned and barred, and he's not getting in any time soon. That's not changing. And so when I met him, he was so happy to see our magazine, and his eyes lit up. Oh my God, what a great job you're doing. And I've heard great things about it. And driving home on I-88, I just felt bad for him. And I called Jack and said, Jack, let's do something for Pete Rose. He goes, Dad, absolutely not. He goes, he's not from New York. He didn't play for New York team. I know that you have a soft heart for him, but the answer is no. And he was right. He was. I talked to the other board members. They said exactly the same thing he did. So we just don't have a platform for Pete. And he's a complex guy. And but I also, what Jack said was, Dad, you've done everything correctly. You've built this brick by brick, and you've inducted great people. He goes, there's no reason to do this, to open yourself up for that kind of criticism. So Pete Rose thing's probably not going to happen.
Okay. And how many people are on your board?
I have 5 in each sport. There's one gentleman who's the same in baseball and basketball. They're all completely different for hockey. And they're all very involved. We talk regularly. Ray Negron is on my baseball board. Dom Scala is on my baseball board. Ray is very influential. He's very much a student of the game. He was there with Billy, in the dugout with Billy. He went to dinner with Billy and Frank Sinatra. I mean, his stories are remarkable. He's worth the price of admission by himself, So it's thanks to Ray and Dom and Gary Holly and the other board guys. I share our success with them because they have guided me very carefully.
So why do you think Billy was worth the price of admission?
Well, I met Billy, and the story, when my oldest son was 5 years old, and I met him at a card show in Albany, New York. And I got there early because I knew there was going to be a big crowd. I knew the guy who ran the show. So I walk in, and Billy is in a room, like a little small office by himself. And my son was 5. And, I walk in. I'm sorry, Mr. Martin, to bother you. Oh, no, come right in. So when I walked in, Billy knelt down and talked to my 5-year-old son for about 20 minutes, Ryan and Billy. And Billy, you couldn't believe how my son gravitated to him. Ryan, do you like baseball? Who's your favorite team? What position do you play? Are you playing T-ball? Thank you for coming. I mean, he knew how to speak to my 5-year-old son, and he didn't have to do that. He was so genuine. He could have said, listen, I'm busy preparing, and he had never met me. He didn't know me from anywhere. But the graciousness and the politeness that he showed my son, that's who he was. That's who he was in his heart. He was all about being nice to people. And, you can't fake that. That's real. And the fact that I got to induct him years later is sort of a pay it forward kind of thing. And you know what?
How grateful we are for that.
Oh my God. And what? Our Hall of Fame, Jill, it's nationally known now. I mean, we got publicity. Bob Costas is inducted. He loves us. The feedback we've gotten from Tino, Bernie, Eddie Crane, on and on and on. All the people that have come. Bucky was great last year. Howie Rose, Keith Hernandez, Steve Cohen.
Wonderful group of guys. And Rene, we thank you for coming on this evening. We hope that you'll come back and chat with us again. And I hope to see you at the next induction.
Look forward to seeing you too. Thank you so much for having me on, Jill.
You're so welcome. It's my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Down the town. Wake up and it's with you.